Hey, how's it going, everybody? While I turn off the music here, we are live here. It's another Friday afternoon, and I'm here with my pal Trey, Creator Trey, and you guys are watching a live episode of Mercury by Age of Radio. I'm Joey Galvez. I'm filling in for Jeremy Quintanilla tonight. He is out of town, but we're going to talk about some really, really cool stuff. Trey, I want to check in with you before we jump into all that fun stuff. Man, since the last time, I think it's been 2 weeks since I saw you. How's
Yep,
it been, man? How have you been the last 2 weeks?
I've been doing pretty good. Not a lot doing, honestly. I did a Substack article on AI last week, but I mentioned that last week as well.
Mm.
And then this week, I finally got a good shortcut set up that is going to streamline the show for me a little bit. And
Yeah.
um, I started trying out some of the new ChatGPT features and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So fun stuff.
Yeah, because I don't know if people out there know that you are visually impaired, and sometimes reading these articles that we do every single week is a little difficult for you to read. So you rely on different things to help you read these articles, like text to speech and things of that nature. So to delve into a little bit about that.
Okay, so I have to use text to speech for a lot of my reading. It's the most comfortable reading for me. I can read articles normally. It just takes me forever and it's a bit straining on my eyes. So today I got to working on a new shortcut and it took the longest time. I was working on it for around 3 hours.
Oh wow.
Um, because
And
originally
your eyes must be tired.
my eyes are okay. Originally I planned on pulling it from the document.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's all worked out now. How's your week? Last 2 weeks?
And that's actually number one. I took a look at the little shortcut that you did for yourself, and it was fantastic. I love that. I listen. I'm one of those people that is kind of like up and down with AI. Right. I love the ideas that we can use AI for people like yourself, right, who have visually impairment and things of that nature to help you maybe do things a little bit more on a normal basis like anybody else would. I love that. Technical advancement is fantastic when it's used in the right way, right? So I'm all about this, man. I'm all about you being able to do things a little bit faster, easier, and helps you on your through your everyday life and people, in the same kind of facet. So excellent. But last couple weeks, we've done some really fun handful of family things. We've been taking the kids to my mom's house and hanging out there. But last night my wife made some birria tacos, dude. Listen, I don't know if you know what birria tacos is. Oh, did we lose some? Did we lose our stream here? I'm not sure. I'm looking at our stream there. I'm
Nope,
not
we're
sure.
still streaming.
Oh, we're still streaming. Okay, maybe my one of my devices popped off. But it was very odd. Anyway, I don't know if you know what birria tacos. It's usually made with like goat meat, right? And it's like this slow cooked, like it's like kind of like stew meat, right? But when you put them in this, it's and it has got this really delicious consomme. So when we so last night my wife, she made it with beef instead of goat meat, right? So it was delicious. I tore up like 6 tacos, dude. I was so full by the end of the night. It was delicious, man. And then we turned around this morning and we made some grilled cheese with some birria meat in there. It was, man, it was fantastic.
Oh,
Uh,
that sounds incredible.
yeah. Oh, it's so good. Man, I wish you lived a lot closer. I'd be like, come on over, Trey. Let's have some dinner.
Yeah, well, I'm actually been pretty lucky myself on that score. My grandma makes a pretty mean spaghetti sauce, and
Oh, fantastic.
we have a local spaghetti, so
Okay.
super lucky there.
That's very cool. So, okay. So do you have like a favorite taco spot around your space? I know we're going to get into all this stuff, but this is let's have some, like, I love talking about food, man. I'm a hungry guy.
So yes, and by the recipes your wife has, you're probably not gonna be super impressed. It's essentially uh Oh crap, I can't remember the exact place, but it essentially
Mhm.
sells taco treat tacos.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome. Delicious. I'm down for that, man. Like when we got to get you back out here, and we got to take you around to some of the other restaurants and stuff. I don't know if you hit any of the restaurants with Jeremy the last time that you were down, but we got some really cool spots out here.
yeah, I think we hit one or two, and I've been to a few around the area of Goodyear.
Okay, yeah.
Augie's is really good if you
Oh,
haven't, but also I have to be really careful about like tacos and stuff like that because
yeah.
I have a really hard time with certain textures.
Mm.
So,
Me too. Listen, I have kids on the spectrum, right? And I'm on the spectrum as well. And I've got some texture issues. So I completely understand. Like I listen, I'm weird. I really love the onion taste, right? But I can't chew into onions if they're like raw onion. They have to be sauteed or they have to be small. They have to be like it has to be like I don't know. I'm weird. It has to be very precise with me.
yeah,
um,
it's
go ahead.
it's funny because I actually really dislike. Well, actually, the sautéed isn't bad. I'm not so bad with onions, but
Mhm.
potatoes, man.
Oh,
Oh my
really?
gosh, I have such a hard time with potatoes. Also, cooked carrots. I love raw carrots, but cooked carrots I can't stand.
Yeah, oh, really? That's so funny. That's funny. I do. We can go on and talking about this fun stuff all day long, but we got some podcast news, some geek culture news, and all kinds of fun stuff to talk about. So let's jump right in here. Excuse me. I I've been. It's a little. It's an allergy day out here in Arizona. It's 107 degrees right now where I'm at, and we got a uh warning it's a bad air quality day. It's horrible. Anyway, so excuse me if I'm going to continuously clear my throat. So the first thing we're going to talk about here is some podcast advertising news here. So YouTube, this is one of the big things here. Jeremy still Jeremy doesn't like to call video podcasts, right? But YouTube overtakes Spotify in the UK for in the podcast realm. So I don't know if you got to take a look at this, but do you want to chime in here a little bit off the top?
Yeah, I think that this is more of so it's interesting because it's like combined audiences. So, for instance, I love Financial Audit. If you've ever listened or watched those videos,
Okay.
absolutely love it. Um, but I never would listen to a video or a audio because the video is so much fun.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I think that that's the sort of thing where I'm more in the audience for that. But if it's just a bunch of people just walking or talking, like Comfort Zone, I would rather not watch the video of that
Yeah.
because it's just people talking.
Mhm. Yeah. Some things tend to do a little bit more well on with like audio style podcast and video style, right? We used to have a video stream called Wednesday Warriors, and what we would do on that show is we would show a lot of visuals, right? And there was a lot of visually centric kind of stuff, and then when you would listen to it over the audio side of it, it didn't really translate very well, right? So I can see why people really tend to gravitate towards YouTube's and these video podcasts because there's a space for it, right? And there's that people are going to consume this content. But let me read to you guys what they have here on this article here. It says YouTube now is now the most popular service used for podcast consumption in the UK. 2 years after YouTube edged out Spotify in the US for the first time, Apple Podcasts is the fourth most popular in the country after BBC Sounds and Corporation's proprietary app. The data is from the Edison Research. So this is actually really cool. The data says that there's 29% of weekly British podcast listeners age 15 plus who choose YouTube as their service if they most. So what these numbers kind of are telling me here are they're it's probably mostly Gen Z who's gravitating more towards these YouTube podcasts. And I think a couple weeks ago and last week we talked a little bit about how Gen Z is just showing up for these video podcasts and for these podcasts. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think some of the it's again one of those things where a lot of these people have a lot of short attention spans, so they like having TV on with one thing and a phone on with another thing, and think we mentioned that the other
Yeah.
week as well.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, I've got my kids. The other day I had to get on my middle child because he was literally playing video games. He had his tablet in front of him as well, and then he had the TV on, and he wanted me to turn up the TV, but he had all three of them going. I was like, dude, pick one.
Jeez. Yeah, it can get pretty crazy if you let it. I
Yeah,
don't know, like some people call that a problem. I call that, changing conditions, stuff like that. But
yeah,
I think that the multimedia thing is definitely going to help it.
yeah, yeah, totally. So how are you feeling about YouTube overtaking Spotify here in the UK? Do you think that they are very close to edging out the US audience?
I don't think so. Maybe on YouTube, but I'm genuinely not sure of that one.
I feel like, I'm not sure about that one either. I do think that we are watching a lot more YouTube these days. I am definitely. There's days where I'm like, oh, what do I want to do? Do I want to, throw on a podcast, or do I want to, throw on some YouTube? And I throw on some YouTube, right? So I find myself even, pushing towards the video podcasts lately, and it's mostly because of the things that I search out are you got to have some kind of visual. They're visually centric, right? So they gives you mostly about artwork or comic books. So I want to kind of see what the artwork is within those pages, right? So I kind of watch those video YouTube channels to kind of take a look at that stuff, and then it's kind of like my own try before I buy kind of thing. So I feel like a lot of people are probably gravitating towards that a lot more here in 2026.
I would completely agree with that. Yeah. I don't have much more to say on that, but I would agree with your point.
All right, all right. So, are you a big fan of the podcast movement?
I honestly have never really gotten into it.
So when I was heavily doing the podcast, and which is how I was introduced to Jeremy, and when I was doing all that stuff, I was like, I really wanted a show, or I wanted somebody, one of my other friends, to be nominated for this podcast movement, because when I first heard about it, it was this really cool thing where where people can go actually to this place and have, it's kind of like a little mini con, like a little mini, podcast con, and you meet all kinds of different podcasters and YouTubers, and then they do this really cool award ceremony kind of thing, and they give people a bunch of awards for podcasts, right? So right now you guys can vote for the podcast movement. So if you guys have a favorite podcast, you guys can nominate them right now. Voting has opened for speaker sessions and for the movement, for the podcast movement in NYC. There's been, as of this article, which was on July 7th, there was 750 session submissions. So, and then I believe this is going to be in New York during September 17th and 18th. So this is really cool. So if you guys got some really favorite podcasts, you nominate them. If you guys are in the NYC area, go check it out and support these podcasts, because the more that we consume these things, the more people create, and the more that will continue to have these things. Very cool.
Agreed. I think this is awesome. I think it's really crazy how many different sessions have been done. Apparently, you can search and see who's already been suggested and vote for them. Who would you suggest if you were gonna make one of these votes?
What my favorite one that I would vote for and suggest for one of these is, I don't know if it would fall under any of these titles that they have here, but I would probably nominate one of my favorite podcasts, which is Comic Book Yeti. They are actually on the podcast network. So if you guys head on over to ageradio.com, you guys can search for Comic Book Yeti, and you can listen to the latest episode there. But they are fantastic, right? For Byron, heads up Comic Book Yeti, and he has a bunch of really great guests on, where they interview comic book creators and talk about their journey throughout and all this fun stuff. So check that podcast out. It's amazing. That's who I would put up. I don't know, who would you put up?
Honestly, I have no idea. Like I listen to podcasters. I don't think I would uh choose anyone to go up and speak. I think that's because a lot of what because there's a site you can go to and see, and a lot of what they've got is like people who are very in the know on podcasting. They've got people like the host of Podcast Classroom or whatever the podcast is called.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have no idea.
Jeremy would be great as a
Jeremy
podcast
would be
speaker.
great.
He does. Listen, Jeremy is an excellent speaker. He's done so many great speeches from the stage, and we recently did a panel at the Phoenix Fan Fusion about podcasting, and he created that slide, and he hosted that thing. Like he like I was actually impressed with some of the things that he knows just off the top of his head. And he was like, dude, I haven't gone through this. Like, we're just going to do this on the fly. I was like, cool, let's do it. And it ended up being a really good turnout. We had some really great people, researching some of the stuff. They had some great conversation and questions. So yeah, I would I would have Jeremy definitely to go up there and talk about podcasting, because he's a plethora of knowledge.
That's actually a really good idea.
All right, let's see what's up next here. Excuse me. Okay, so we got one here about Netflix. Do you want to head this one up here for us?
Sure.
Netflix grows a video podcast push with Vox Media partnership.
I can't remember the exact name of the podcast, but they are bringing on 2 podcasts from Vox. I think one is called Unexplainable or something like that.
Unexplainable and switched on pop. Sorry.
Right. So Unexplainable is apparently a podcast where they talk about stuff that a lot of people consider unexplainable and kind of go into the science of it. For instance, why some people can hear music and some people can only hear vocals.
Interesting. That's very. You know what's really interesting is when I was doing a lot of the audio engineering, and I was really kind of weirded out by it, because when I would find this sound in the process of creating this music, I would have to close my eyes sometimes and kind of hear it, and I would start to see colors, and these different sounds would create these colors, and it's not like colors like you think. It's so difficult to explain it, but when I researched and looked it up, it's a real thing, and I completely forget what it's called. But it's a real thing where people could see colors with sound waves and different things like that. I used to think that it was just me, my brain, my ADHD brain, not being able to shut off like at nighttime when I would close my eyes, and like I would like to listen to music at night, but it would, like, when I close my eyes, it looked like it was still daytime in underneath my eyelids. That's the only way that I can explain it. And things would pop and burst, and it was so weird. And I was like, man, am I crazy? But it's a real thing.
You have audio to visual synesthesia. That's incredible. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It's weird. Sometimes I can't turn my brain off at night, and I see nothing but colors in my head. Very cool, man. I listen, here we go again with Netflix and these video podcasts, right? I've consumed some of these Netflix video podcasts. I think it's excellent. I love the way where we're going with this new video style podcasting, and hopefully once all this technology gets a lot better, we're going to start, being able to push it out like an RSS feed, which is very cool.
Yeah, I'm really glad that Apple's doing that. Also, it's very interesting because this isn't like an exclusive thing. It is exclusive for video, but the audio version is still out there for anybody to consume.
Oh yeah, definitely. And we're going to talk about here about Podpage. Podpage came out on the map a handful of years ago, and they came out when I was actually trying to search for a new podcast network, which is when I met Jeremy. I think it was like 2018, somewhere around there, and he had been doing it since 2016. So it's been it was a couple of years since he had started it, or I think did he say 2011 or 20, I think it's 2016. So it was a couple of years after he had started his podcast network, and he had some really great shows on there, and there was some really great growth happening. And so Pod Pages was one of those things that popped up out of nowhere, and you had this landing page you can send people to if you couldn't purchase like a like a website or host your show. It was kind of like Substack, kind of like an idea like Substack, but it was for podcasts and so you can kind of create like a community there, and people can talk to you and ask questions and comment on each of your episodes. So it was this really cool thing that was like being created then. So since then, it looks like Podpage bets on AI here. We got on this topic here. I'm going to read this topic. It says Podpage bets on AI autopilot to boost podcast search visibility. Very cool. Podpage, which builds websites, tens of thousands of podcasters, is making its biggest product push to date with a major platform overhaul that introduces a redesigned dashboard and a new suite of AI powered tools designed to help podcasters improve search visibility and less manual work. I get it, guys. Everybody's up in arms with AI now, but this could possibly be one of those things that helps people a little bit more. Yes, I get it. We're feeding the AI beast with teaching these things. I understand that, but some of these things this innovation is actually very, very cool with some of these things, right? A lot of these businesses, they are forward thinking, so they don't want to be left behind. And right now, AI is that mechanism that is pushing everything forward. And unfortunately, that's just what it is for the people out there who aren't interested in AI. Sorry. But when it comes to logging into Podpage today, things are going to look a little different. The company is in an announcement. This is one of the biggest steps forward Podpage has ever taken, which is really cool because like I was saying before, when they came on, they were just kind of rolling out some of these new features and trying them out. So that was really cool. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see what this actually looks like when it's rolled out. And this article, it was on the 9th. So just yesterday, it looks like it came out. So you guys can probably head on over to Podpage right now, check it out. If you're using it, let us know what you guys are, what it looks like and how you guys like it so far. If it's already, I'm not sure if it's finished right now, but do you have any comments about this one?
Yeah, I think it's cool that they're trying to automate some of the more difficult parts of the podcast, SEO, stuff like that. I do have a bit of a problem with the framing, though, and that is AI overviews and stuff like that, and being able to like send it out so that AIs can collect that information is going to be not as much of a driver of discoverability as they would like to think. We've said it multiple times. The majority of people find podcasts because they see a video they like about it or they like the creator. That's how you find podcasts. Now, I don't think that this is bad. I think that this is, great for if people do want like a certain podcast on a certain topic, maybe they can use the AI to actually find that, because it's not like AI doesn't constantly like absorb all the information of the internet. But it's more of a, hey, I'm looking for this. What's this? That type of thing. And I think for somebody who's actually looking for a podcast on a certain topic, that could be helpful.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. It says Podpage's goal is to help podcast websites perform better as search evolves beyond traditional blue links and AI generated summaries. So just like you're saying, it's going to be a lot more helpful for people with their searchability and SEO. SEO is a little difficult sometimes. Listen, they do like training courses and certificates on SEO. So there's a reason for it, right? Because it's difficult. And if it's difficult to learn, I mean, not difficult to learn, but it's difficult to do if you don't have any kind of skill or know-how. It can take a little time consuming research. And if you're not the average person who's savvy with stuff like that, this can be definitely helpful. I definitely listen. Searchability is one of those things that I had trouble with. Even me, trying to figure out what to say in your descriptions and all this stuff, and to get people to be interested. Yeah, you sometimes had to use buzzwords. As a lot of people don't really like buzzwords, but guess what? Buzzwords is what gets people to search and find you. So you have to play this game with SEO, and it can be really, really difficult and really time consuming, and it can feel like a job.
Yeah, that was one thing that I had a hard time with when I was doing photo selling. I used to do stock photos, and one, they want a title, which I thought was really weird, and then they want all of the keywords and all that stuff. And when you're just, hey, I just want to sell my photos, it gets it gets a little bit time consuming and irritating.
It does, man. And when you're and when you're like a little you're like, especially when those moments where you're like, "Oh, I really get to get this thing out there. I've been spending too much time editing, or you may be falling behind on pushing that episode out. You got to do things a little fast, so it can be a little difficult to kind of to do things in a hurry sometimes. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here. Well, now we're going to go jump in and talk a little bit about Spotify. Spotify sees live events as the ticket to growing revenue. Ooh, just with that headline, what are you thinking?
I think so. With the headline, I think that this is fantastic, and I think definitely true.
Okay, it says, I agree. I love this idea. Just from listening to the headline, live events, Spotify live events, very cool. Let's do this. I'm down. Maybe let's see what it talks about, because I did not get to check this article out here. As Spotify rolls out reserved concert tickets access for music superfans, the company's broader strategy could have major implications for podcasting, where live tours, fan events, premium audience experience have become an increasingly important part for creator businesses. That's cool, because right there, we can have your favorite podcaster, your favorite video podcaster. You can go see them at these live events. When they do these live events, it becomes this really huge thing, this really cool attraction. It's not just sitting down in an audience and watching your favorite podcasters on stage talk about funny stuff. It's becomes this really fun thing where you get to go and look at these different vendors, and you get to go and have some fun little exciting activities and things like that. It's like a little mini con. So I'm down for all of for conventions, man. We need more conventions for everything out there. What are you thinking about this one?
I think this is fantastic. I do think because it's a very big revenue driver. It talks in the article a little bit about how, and I really don't think that Spotify should be getting into audiobooks, but they're into audiobooks. And apparently their audiobooks plus subscription on top of their premium one is actually doing pretty well. And people who do that are worth 4 times more than a regular premium user, according to this article. Again, don't really care for any of that. This is a good way for them to do more revenue, but it's fantastic for actual fans. One of the podcasts that I listen to is called Through the Gryffindor.
Okay.
It is big for Harry Potter fans. I am a huge Harry Potter fan.
Very cool.
And they do like the Carlin brothers, who make the podcast, do a twice annual show, and they make a crap ton of money on it. So I can see this being a real money spinner for Spotify. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm here for it, man, all day long, because like you can have vendors, you can have all kinds of really fun. You can set up some food trucks, you can bring in some local talent, like you can bring in some bands. Like, this is a huge thing, and wherever they're going to hold something like this, and if it's going to be like a tour going around the country, it could be an amazing revenue increase in that economy, right? So I'm here all day long for this, man. This is cool. I know some of us out there, especially in our team, are not big Spotify fans, but these are really great ideas. I think coming out with these in-person events, and creating this really cool pool of economic growth. I think that's excellent. Let's do it. Let's have more of it, dude, all day long. Looks like they're going to be
100%.
it looks like they're going to be partnering with Live Nation to do a handful of these premium things, premium concert events, which is really cool because I really like Live Nation. They do some really cool stuff. So definitely check this out if you guys see some stuff out there coming out, some news coming out with some of your favorite podcasters. Maybe they're going to do some real fun stuff around your area. And if you're watching this and you go to one in the future, talk to us, let us know, reach out at us at Age of Radio, Mercury, all over the social media stuff. Find Creator Trey or myself, and let's talk a little bit more about this, because I would love to know what kind of time you had when you were out there with this live Spotify event. Very cool.
Yep. Before we get to the next, when we get out of podcast news, I have a question for you before we get to that.
Yeah,
first gaming article.
I think we are. We're right at where we're done with podcast news. We're going to jump into gaming news.
All right. So, what's your favorite? I believe this is the first one. What's your favorite Fallout game?
Oh, you know what? So I haven't played Fallout, but my son has, my 15-year-old son, and he tells me Fallout New Vegas is the best game.
And that's why everyone who's a big Fallout fan is going to love this next article.
All right, I'm gonna let you lead this one. Then tell us about it.
So the people, I can't. My brain sometimes snatches words out of my Obsidian.
No worries.
Obsidian Games is now working on a new Fallout game, and anyone who hears that and knows the history of the series is going to get really, really excited because they previously worked on Fallout New Vegas. And that is considered one of the best Fallout games of all time. And it's partially because of Microsoft's push. They want to go back to their marquee IPs, and that's why they're starting with this. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a great move because, my son, if my 15-year-old son keeps telling me that it's the best one, and I think our friend over at Cause Talk Live, Jinx, she loves New Vegas as well. This is a great news. It says Obsidian Entertainment is developing a new Fallout game, according to a report by Bloomberg. The report also states that the studio has canceled several in development projects, including a planned sequel to its 2025 RPG Avowed. The ongoing layoffs across Xbox gaming division, which we're going to talk a little bit here very soon, have reportedly impacted roughly that's 25% of its Obsidian's staff, including long-time art director Daniel Alpert. That's that. How do you feel like this is going to affect some of the news that we got going on here?
Yeah, definitely more to come, unfortunately. Actually, the next two articles also build on this narrative, I think.
Yeah. And that's what's unfortunate is that right now across the business world, there's so many layoffs happening right now. It's absolutely wild. We're going to talk a little bit more about some layoffs and some new additions to the comic book staff at Dark Horse as well, which is crazy. And there's a new article, news that just came out within it literally just broke within the last couple of days, which we'll talk a little bit about too.
Yeah. And in my opinion, it's like it's the old question of how many planks can you remove and replace in a boat until it's no longer the same boat.
Yeah. And what's your quote? It's what is your quote that Jeremy says he put on a t-shirt?
Hanging on like a barnacle on a rock.
And that's what they're doing, right? With that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man, it's absolutely crazy with all of these layoffs all across the world with all this stuff. It's going crazy. It's like whiplash, man. We can't keep up with all this stuff, but with some of this stuff, we're gonna get some great stuff like New Vegas. Man, I'm here for some new games all day long.
Absolutely, I'm very excited. I hope that they can keep it up. They're definitely got their work cut out for them after what Fallout. Did you like? Well, you haven't played Fallout 76. A lot of people weren't very impressed with Fallout 76.
Yeah, what's funny is my son actually said the same thing. All right, we got a new one here. It says Doom developer software reportedly loses roughly half its staff to more layoffs. Some more layoffs here going on. In the wake of Xbox's planned layoffs across the gaming division, which will impact over 3,200 employees, with 1,600 of those workers immediately let go yesterday, which is as of July 7th. Um, Doom developer ID Software has been hit particularly hard. A new report suggests that the legendary studio has lost roughly half its staff. Wow. How do you feel about that one?
I've never been the biggest fan of id Software, but it's always hard when you, well, it's in two minds. It's always hard when you have to lose people.
Mhm.
At the same time, from what I've heard from like different interviews Asha Sharma has given, apparently there are times when you have like 14 layers of management between
Mm.
developers and like the top, and it's like that's not really something that can stay.
It's wild, man, with all these like I understand, right? The economy's crazy right now. There's so much going on. The consumers, like even the comic book world, the Kickstarter world, the everything is completely impacted by all this stuff, and it's getting a little scary, right? When we're getting all these layoffs with all these creative things, right? Because one of the things that I used to say is these like movies and music and TV is one of those things, just like restaurants and food, that we're not going to see those kind of go away even if we're in a really bad economy, but we're starting to see those things dip, and that's where it gets a little scary, because history tells us of different times in our history that this happened. Scary things has happened. So let's not jump to crazy conclusions here, right? But if here's the key: if we continue to consume these things and we continue to love these things like we do, hopefully we can keep them alive.
Yeah. I also think that the indie scene is going to be massive for this as well. As oh my gosh, I swear I don't mean to plan these segues, but they're happening. The indie scene is going to pop off.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and segue into that one. Go right ahead. And we're going to talk a little bit about Xbox here, right? Is this the one you're
Yep.
thinking of? All right, so Xbox parts ways with 5 studios, over 3,000 layoffs announced. Woo! Here's more. More. So Xbox has announced it is splitting from 5 different development studios, Compulsion Games, Double Fine Productions, Ninja Theory, Undead Labs, and Arcane Studios, while announcing plans to reduce headcount by over 3,000 employees over the next several months. Wow. How do you feel?
I actually think that this is really good.
Okay.
So not the layoffs so much, but
Mhm.
I've always felt that Xbox trying to own all of the studios in the world, as they admit in this article that they cannot do, has been a bit of a mistake. And they're going to keep on holding on to the most successful ones, which is Bethesda and id and all of those, Activision. In my opinion, this is good because it will mean that these people will have the ability to grow themselves and to target more projects and all of that fun stuff. So as long it kind of like Toys for Bob did a while back, they branched off of Xbox and now they're making Spyro Realm Beyond. So
Very cool. Yeah. Anytime that you have a company who, I think the only thing I can use as a pun is if they outgrow their britches, right? Is anytime that a company outgrows their britches, it can be a little difficult. You have to shed those pants, right? To keep the pun going, because when you take on too much, and you only have so much attention that you can put in different places, and if you can't give everything the attention that it deserves, things like this happen, and it's unfortunate, right? Especially in a dipping economy that can that could be really, really difficult to kind of keep your head afloat there. Very, very interesting here. It says it kind of goes on and on to talk a little bit about each studio here. For so really interesting to kind of look into if you some of those studios were your guys' favorite studios. It's probably worth a look up to kind of research what they're going to be doing on their own, and see what happens to your favorite games there. Do you have any favorite games from any of those studios that you like that you're a little concerned about?
No, not at all. And it's another thing where I'm very optimistic about this, because if there is anything that they are, because they get to keep their IPs, by the way.
Okay.
Xbox isn't keeping hold
Yeah.
of their IPs. They're getting to keep them. So if there was one, I would be very optimistic about this, because I think that this is something where they will have their own direction and can kind of build
Mhm.
to their own taste, rather than expecting a massive monolith of a company to make the decisions for them. And I think that this is
Yeah.
actually a really good thing. And also, some of them have already been reacquired, like Ninja Theory, the people who
Oh,
made
cool.
Senua. The rumor that came out recently that Senua was like a pitch for someone else to buy the company, apparently it was successful.
Wow,
So
that's
that's
interesting.
cool.
Very cool. All right, this next one's kind of cool. Are you into some of those game systems that you can kind of uh upload some of these really fun games that we're all used to do. And so you see a lot of them in like the cons where you can buy them aftermarket and they got all these really fun games on them. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here, because it looks like Lenovo has officially ditched its piracy packed Game Boy like device. This is really interesting. The Go2 pre-installed with dozens of Nintendo and Sega games is no longer on sale. So in late May this year, this emulation site Retro Dodo raised awareness that a Lenovo branded Game Boy like emulation device, and that's what they're called, those emulation devices. Um, the $60 Go2 was being sold to customers outside of China, pre-packed with a wealth of copyrighted classic Nintendo games and Sega games. After a couple of months of prevarication denials, a name change, Retro Dodo reporting that the Lenovo has officially pulled the plug on this handheld altogether. Interesting, because this is one of those things that people kind of got around and kind of got, because I don't know if you've tried to search for like Game Boys or like Nintendo DS, and you and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, that those things are way expensive now if you try to go and search for one. I tried to buy one at a con, and it was anywhere from 2 to 3 to sometimes 400-500 bucks.
Yeah. These things are really expensive. At the same time, I've never gone for one of these devices. Back in the day, it was boot, not bootloaders. What are they called? The essentially like it's another game that they put like a Pokemon sticker
Mhm.
on.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name of it. Boot something or other. Um, and then now it's the emulation thing, where I
Mhm.
always think, like, if it's something where it's like an emulator on my phone or something like that, sure, if I
Yeah.
can find the file, I'll use the file.
Yeah.
Do not practice privacy, guys. But
Yes.
like, that's what I would do in the past and stuff like that.
Mhm.
I think that this is a bit of a gray area a lot, and it's very common in China.
Yeah.
Gotta say, guys, if you don't want your stuff to be emulated or stolen, make it more available. If Nintendo were to create a Game Boy Classic for like
Mhm.
$50, you can do it.
Yeah.
And
And
put a bunch of
and everybody would go for it, man. I would get a couple of them for my house, like, because listen, right now I have 3 kids. Right, I have a 15-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, and I have a 5-year-old. And my 5-year-old, he tries to play my Nintendo Switch 2, and he plays the boys stuff. And recently, he accidentally ripped one of the thumb pads, the joystick pads, and I had to go find one aftermarket. And I'm like, oh, it's such a nightmare, right? So I'm just like, I would really love to just get him something that's smaller, handheld, that is a little bit more durable, that we know that it's not going to get ruined if he drops it. It's not going to be the end of the world, right? and that's a little bit more inexpensive than than like a Nintendo Switch Lite. Because I don't know if I could give my 500 my 5-year-old a $500 device or a $200 device and be okay with him just running around with it. So that's why I was kind of looking at these things, and and as I was looking through some of them, a lot of them do have copywritten work on there, and I'm just like, I just can't do that, right? So so that's the difficulty that we see. But when you have these companies and they will come out with a new device or a introduction of an older device, people will eat it up, especially if you haven't done anything like that in such a long time. Game Boy, bring it out. Like that's that. Like I would buy one right now, dude. And at a price point that people can actually afford, not $500.
Right, and you can like these flipping boards and stuff like that. You don't need anything that's super like big. Also, another option if you're interested in looking at something, maybe if you don't like want to do anything, like you can buy the physical games and then get the emulated ROMs or whatever. But modded Game Boys, like not a Chinese piece of junk, but like if you look online, you can find Game Boys with hard drives on them. And they have like a whole bunch of other, and that might be an option as well if you're looking in that type of market.
Yeah. I think I did see something like that the people would go and like upgrade the actual drives and stuff, which is really cool. I've always wanted to get into like computer building and stuff like that, because I can never find the right fit computer that has everything that I need. And I'm like, and I had friends who are they're like, just make one your own, dude. I'm like, I don't know how. So, and I'm right there with you. All right, let's go ahead. So now we're gonna move from gaming here. Sorry here. This thing's making me sorry. So now we're gonna move on from gaming news to comic book news here. Because this one here is a little wild here. I don't know if you guys have known a little bit about this, but there's been some shakeup going on over at Dark Horse Comics. They recently there was the employees just recently unionized, which was really cool. And amongst this unionizing, they announced some layoffs. And with some layoffs, they were actually changing up some of the leadership here. So now there's a major leadership shakeup here. And they announced that they are going to have 3 new people here, excuse me, taking over the role. So 4 months after dismantling founder of and CEO Mike Richardson, comics publisher of Dark Horse has announced a new 3-pillar leadership structure in the release shared exclusively with PW here. Going forward, the company will have 3 heads. Tim Weiss, head of publishing and business development; Vanessa Todd Holmes, head of publishing operations; and Melissa Tiemann, head of finance and administration. And Jay Comas, who was appointed when Richardson was let go, is still listed as interim CEO. The new leadership structure comes as the company celebrates its 40th anniversary and the staff unionizes. So that's one of the big things that was a little crazy, because it's their 40-year anniversary, and then the big, huge, really cool announcement, it was that the staff was unionizing, and it was one of the first times in comic history, I think, that something like that was going to happen at an actual, and they were actually kind of cool with it. But now this is happening, and now we got these 3 heads, which could be really good, but with all these different changes in a business, especially in the leadership, everybody does things differently, right? And then when you have 3 of them coming together, those are 3 different heads, 3 different minds, 3 different ways of doing things. So I'm really interested in seeing how this would shake out here at Dark Horse coming out here in the next few years. What are you thinking about this one?
Honestly, I don't have a lot I can say on this one. I am not nearly as much into the comic thing as you are. Do you know the history of any of these people? Like, what have they done before this?
I off the top of my head, I don't know, but I know that reading through this, they all have experience within these kind of leadership roles in the past. So they've been coming from different. They're great in these roles, because a lot of these things that they're doing here are within their parameters, so they know what they're doing, and they've been in the industry for a while. So they it looked like they were coming back and forth a couple of different times as I read this. So I mean, they know what they're doing, so it's really cool to kind of see what they're gonna do here next. I'm really intrigued by this one, and I'm definitely gonna be watching because when things get shaken up, that's when you get a little scared. And I was talking to you a little bit ago about an article that I don't have anything to pull up to look at or read, but I'm just going to discuss it with you. Is that it happened just within the last couple of months with a major printer called Comics Wellspring, right? And what had happened with them is a couple of months ago, they revamped their website and they announced that they were doing things a little bit differently, and they were going to move towards pay on demand or print on demand, which is if one person orders one book, they can buy one book and they will print one book. Before, it was a little difficult because people would have a minimum, and Comics Wellspring actually had a 25 print minimum. So you had to order at least 25 because shipping and all that stuff, right? Since then, when they changed all of their websites and how the way they accepted all that stuff, the the comic books jumped from a low value to now a higher dollar per unit increase, right? So now people were like, what the heck? When I ordered 25 of these, it was significantly lower. Then they kind of went back and kind of changed some things a little bit there, and because they got caught some flack. And then now within this week, I was getting some messages from some friends, and they were like, hey dude, do you know anybody else that's got printing with this? How long has it been taking them to get this printed? So and so, this and that, right? And as they were doing that, through the grapevine, we found out that they were going to cease operations. Just completely ceased. Like they changed, like just a couple months ago, they changed the way they were doing business. And then since then, when they were changing all the different things, they laid off a bunch of people. There was at least 3 people who was your point of contact with the printing company, and they laid off one of them, gave that person the title, lay them off, and lay them off, and lay them off. And now it looks like a lot of people's orders were either misplaced or lost, and it looked like that. And then now the announcement today that, and it was just today that they announced it, which was or I think in the last couple of days, that they are ceasing operations, and and they're going to say that they put up a website, an announcement on their website stating that they're going to be giving people back their money that they're purchased these orders with, right? Which is wild because a lot of these people have been waiting on their stuff. I know one person has been waiting on their books for over a couple of months now, and now they don't know if it's going to get printed or if they're going to get refunded. And we have people that are waiting for these books. It's absolutely wild. It's wild.
That is really wild. That tells me that they had completely not understood the so my guess is they put it on print on demand, and because they put it on print on demand, they didn't have the buffer of ordering 25 to reduce the costs, and they have to spin those machines up and down for every order that they get. But the increased order per copy meant that the people that were previously ordering in bulk now were not going to order at all. So they lost, like, I'm guessing like 50 to 75% of their customer base overnight.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Which caused everything to just kind of
fall apart.
Yeah.
Yep. Domino effect. And that's the scary thing, that anytime that these companies start shifting these different things from what they've been doing, right? You have to have a little bit of a buffer. You have to figure out what's going on in between the move, right? Because you're going to have stuff like this and it could all just fall apart like a house of cards. It's just absolutely wild to think about this. Crazy. Do we have a oh, I don't know what that was. Sorry. It was a comment, but I have no idea who it was. It made no sense. It's probably a bot. So yeah, man, this is wild. So I have like people emailing me, reaching out. They're like, "Do you know a printer? Do you?" I all this crazy stuff. So Yeah, I don't know how it's gonna what's gonna happen, because we a lot of these other printers are moving to print on demand too. And but they know they've been in the business a little bit longer since than some of these other ones, and they're not falling apart after they kind of go that direction, but they're also not charging like $8 per unit.
Right.
So
And so, in my opinion, the best thing to do for this is to do both. If you cut, I don't know, did they cut off the bulk stuff and just do print on demand, or were they doing bulk and print on
yeah,
demand? This
no.
one that
So
failed.
what they did was they cut off the 25 minimum, and what they did was it's if you buy 25, it's the pay on demand price, but the larger amount that so what they were doing was actually pushing people towards what they call offset printing, which is anywhere from 500 units to 1,000 units. So they were pushing everybody to a higher increase of unit per unit cost. So the more that you got, your per unit cost would go down, but it still never went lower than what their previous cost per unit was, unless you hit 1,000 units, and then it was capped at that small price, which was like under like $3, which was like 250 to 280 90 or something like that per unit, and it would be capped at 2,000. So you would get it at 1,000, and then if you increased it to 2,000, the number wouldn't would stay at that. And even if you got like 5,000, 6,000, the price wouldn't drop any lower. It was just capped at that lowest price. So it was like, it really wasn't worth it, because you would either have to get 500 units or 1,000 units to get a really great cost per unit. It was
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I'm going to say it's crazy because you'd think that these guys who have been operating for some time would know what they're doing. $8 on a comic book is wild because these
wild.
comic books usually sell for $8 to $10.
Yeah, yeah. And I just recently did some calculations for a print on demand for my I think it's a 40-page book, right, of archetypes. That one, we usually sell that one at anywhere from $13 to $14 at a con, right? And sometimes I give people a discount to $12. If I were to go with the company that I was looking at for pay on demand, that issue would be $13.65, just for, and that's not there's no split. That's just the cost to print. I'm not even making any money on that. That's just somebody buying the book and getting it printed and sent to them, and I'm losing out. So it's really difficult to do a print on demand. Now, print on demand, I think, is better if your books are anywhere from 15 to 20 to $30, right? And then you'll probably have a good little buffer there, and maybe a little bit of a profit there. But print on demand is really, really difficult for everybody to make a cut. So
So I actually have an idea on this. I don't want to take too long because I know we have other articles, but I do have an idea. If you guys, if there are other print on demands that are doing this and it's like $13, do a initial batch print of at least 25, and you guys need to keep these quantities low because the majority of these indie authors can't do 10,000 books or 1,000
right,
or whatever.
right.
Do like an additional thing, and then those you can mark down the price and do it like something like an out of the gate thing, and all of your people who ordered the book on Kickstarter and all of that stuff, and then do a post printing where it's print on demand and the price is like double. So instead of 13 to 14, you're paying 24 to 26.
Yeah, or something like where or you could even do like an indie creator like tier, or like an incentive, or like, you know what I mean? Like, it was wild. What one thing that those guys were doing that are not that have ceased operations is that before they stopped operations, they were making you put, not only were they making you use an ad to decrease the price in that per unit, They made you they to put an ad on the back of the page, which okay, cool. Back page, cool. That's nobody really, designs a lot of back pages anyway. Um, but especially for like single issues, because it's a lot of times you see more of the back pages on like the perfect bound or the graphic novels, because it gives you a synopsis of the whole story or the whole arc, right? But on the single issues, it's not really anything like that. So people were okay to trade off the back page of their comic book to be printed, to have an ad printed, right? On top of that, they were also asking for their logos to be printed on the front of the book or on the inside of the book. And it's like, you want me to give, yeah, and the price didn't decrease even more per unit. It was the same that it was if you just had them put the ad on the back page before they did all these major changes. So you're like, well, what the heck? Now you just want us to put your logo on it too? Like, it's wild.
That is insane.
Yeah, it was almost like this tactic that, like, they were like, well, we want you guys to advertise for us now too. He's like, it was wild stuff,
That
man.
that's insane.
Yeah.
That is genuinely. I can't even fathom the depths of corporate greed to get to that point.
For real, right? Yeah. I don't understand what these decisions, what was the driving force of these decisions that they were making at the end of this thing. But we all know what happened with it, right? Absolutely wild. Just ceases to amaze me sometimes. Okay, these we got just a couple of more articles here, and these ones are going to be a little bit more on a happy note, because I'm very excited about these next two. This next one, I don't know if you a fan of Power Rangers?
I never really was a fan. I've watched a few of them, but
Okay,
let's.
so if you're not a fan, I know you still have a favorite Power Ranger, right? Who was it?
I think at one point in time it might have been the green or the white. I'm not even sure.
I love that, because this is fantastic, because I don't know if you know, but Jason David Frank, his last final movie was actually a kind of a little tip of the hat to his Power Ranger days. This one was called The Legend of the White Dragon, and they finally dropped the first trailer. I've been following the making of this and the process of this. This was done by a studio called Bat in the Sun, and I've been watching everything that they've been doing even since before he passed. He would post some things and talk about some of their stuff on set, and it was really cool to kind of watch behind the scenes and stuff. And then when this finally came out with the trailer, I was so dang excited about it, that I was like, heck yeah, dude. Listen, I am going to tell you, there is a little bit of cheese factor to this, right? But it's like, I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, and I'm a huge Green Ranger, White Ranger, Jason David Frank fan. Like, I was at the Comic-Con here in Phoenix Fan Fusion when when a fan tried to stab him. It was crazy. Like, yeah, it was wild, dude. Someone tried to freaking stab him 1 year, and then it was nuts. Anyway, I remember, because like they like locked everything down, and there was all kinds of security running around all crazy, and then they like uh took the guy out, and it was wild. It was like, it was a weird thing, because like I was like a huge fan, but he was like gonna stab him. I don't know why. Anyway, luckily nothing happened, and he was safe. He was safe. Everybody was safe. And the show went on. But this one was fantastic. Let me tell you a little bit. Let me give you the synopsis of this one, because it's a really cool thing. This Jason David Frank is the White Dragon. Forced to hide in the shadows, fugitive hero Eric Reed must clear his name to reunite with his family. Standing in his way is a mysterious villain obsessed with destroying the White Dragon for good. It sounds
That
freaking
sounds
awesome, dude.
awesome.
And it's in theaters August 28th. You guys can check it out. But let's watch the trailer. If you're cool with
Oh, I'm absolutely cool with that. Did you turn off the sound, or is it just not?
You hear that?
Nope, I can't hear it. Not at all. I think you might be
Okay, so you
sharing
can't
the
hear it at
tab
all?
and not the sound. Nope.
Okay, let me. We have to. This is weird. Okay, let me. Because I think Jeremy had this problem last time, and I think we had to figure out what the heck is going on here. I don't know why it's not working like that. Very weird.
Are you sharing tab and audio?
Let me stop my screen, and then I'll share it again, and we'll see how this goes. Share screen. I'm gonna have to move this for a second, guys. Excuse me
Are
for a
you in
moment.
Chrome for this trailer?
Yes, I am in Chrome. Is that the problem?
Okay, just wanted to make sure. No, if you weren't, it would have been a bigger problem.
Okay, no, yeah, I'm in Chrome. I had to turn off my video so I can move my camera and take a look at this.
You did hit share tab and audio, right?
Tab and audio,
Okay.
yes. I'm doing that now. Now, let's see. Hopefully this will work now. And then let me see if I could make it bigger. It doesn't want to make it bigger. It's being weird. Whatever.
I'm also not hearing anything. Maybe it'll turn on.
You hear that now?
Needs the white dragon back.
Yep, I see it.
The prophecy tells of a duel between the two dragons of a shared crystal. One, the white dragon, and the other, a dark dragon fueled by a fiery rage. The prophecy calls this entity Dragon Prime.
Who the hell are you?
The one with the power to give you what you desire.
This city will not rest until Eric Reed is held accountable.
The world never needed the white dragon.
We can't do this without you. You want to pick your color?
Nice.
All of this guilt. You have to let it go.
Eric, let's go!
For us. For the world. For your family.
The spirit you fight is still strong within you.
You can't stop me.
Let's find out.
Awesome.
That's sick. Okay, I don't know. I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, and he did the. Dude, I'm here for it all day. There was some fan service there. They're like, what color are you gonna pick? He looked at the green. I was like, oh, yeah, dude. I'm here for this all day long. This is one of my favorites here all day long, dude. Very cool.
I love it. It's very cool. Very Star Wars meets Transformers meets Power Rangers, in my opinion.
Right, dude. It's freaking epic, man. Epic as heck. I'm here for this one all day long, dude. I've been in on that one for a minute. Like, I'm very excited for that one. Let's go ahead and move on to some more movie news. This one is actually kind of cool, and there's a major reason why this one's cool. Because, and I'm going to share my screen again because I had to stop that one. I'm going to share my screen and audio with this one too. Excuse me while I do that. I have to turn off my camera for a second because I'm gonna have to move it out of the way. Sorry. To see my screen because I have my camera in front of my screen. So this one's really cool. I don't know. You're a big fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Have you been watching the live action version of it lately?
I quit on the live action in season 1 where they made it way too gritty and added some stuff they didn't need to add, or change stuff they didn't need to change, rather.
Okay. Listen, I'm cool. I'm cool with the changes that they made. Only because I'm one of those fans to some of this stuff that I'm okay with them changing things because I don't want to see the same iteration just transformed from cartoon or animated version to live action. Like, I know a lot of those things that come from cartoons and stuff like that, you can't translate into live action or into a movie and stuff like that. Now, things like, the first X-Men movie where they didn't even have their uniforms, it was just this black leather and random why, right? Like, we could have gotten the icon. If you guys are already using the characters, you could have used the iconic, garb. Anyway, that's one of those things that I'm like, nah. But
So I'm going to.
I'm okay.
Mind if I explain myself just a little bit?
Please, yeah,
I'll be
please.
very quick.
Yes.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
So
Elaborate.
for the majority of the part, I have no problem with the changes that they made. My problems were more about just a couple of the changes that they made to the plot. They decided to take, and I mean, you can't have it all be super silly when it's in a more grounded show, but in my opinion, they decided to go for the they Game of Thrones it, in my opinion, a little bit.
Okay.
And also, like some of the stuff, like for instance,
I will agree that Aang in the live action should have been a little bit more sillier. I understand. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. And then like people not needing masters and stuff like that sort of thing. But I'll end on that one.
Yeah, there are some key things that are like maybe they should have done a little bit better on it, right? But I'm okay. Listen, I'm okay with it only because I'm here for consuming my favorite stuff. And if it's out there, I'm gonna consume it because I want to watch it because it's my favorite. Listen, I mean, dude, you want to know how much of a diehard fan I am?
How hard or how much?
I have the Avatar symbols on my knuckles.
I see that
wind,
now.
fire, the water. Like, I have them tattooed on me. That's how much of a fan I am. And if it's out there, I'm gonna consume it. So I'm here all day for it. So this next article here was one of my favorite ones because along with the live action, we had some news that we were going to get a new movie that was going to be that was going to give us a new chapter of Aang, right? Avatar Aang, The Last Airbender, which is a movie that was supposed to be coming out in October, moved up to July because it was leaked online. I don't know. We talked about this about a month or so ago. You and we talked a little bit about it because we were talking about how it got leaked online and how fans were going wild over this. And people were talking about it, and yeah, it sucked because it got pirated and leaked and all this stuff. And then I don't know if you know, but the person who leaked it actually got prosecuted and sent to. I don't know if they got sent to prison or anything like that. I haven't checked on that, but they were prosecuted and found and so they found them and sent them to court for this thing. So absolutely wild. But
absolutely, I'm so excited for this, man. Very excited for this.
Me too. I'm very, very excited for this one too because some of the things that we saw already. Not only did they move the time up to July, I believe July 25th, which is just in a couple of weeks here, a little over a couple of weeks here. So what's cool about this is they moved it up, and then they also dropped a trailer. So it was really cool, and this is freaking wild. I'm gonna see if I can pull up the trailer for us so we can watch it, but I have to pull this out because I don't know where it went here in this article. Yep. It's not here. Is it in this article?
That's weird.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Is that it? Not it? There it is.
There it is. Can you hear that?
Yep.
I'm the last Airbender.
You may be the last Airbender.
Oh, that looks so good.
But you're not alone.
I'm the Avatar. I found allies from every nation. and death, we end the 100-Year War.
Aang, because of you, all of the nations live together in peace and harmony.
All except mine. An airbender.
My senses tell me this guy is pretty attractive.
What does attractive even mean?
Just give me a straight confirmation. Is he attractive?
He's very attractive. Huh? What? He is. It's all in the bone structure.
Aang, you and I can heal the past. And together, we can build a new world.
Welcome to Team Avatar.
How many countless were killed in the 100 years waiting for his return? If we want anything to change, we need what the Benders have. Power.
This isn't the way. We can bring back balance. Peace. Promise you I'll
Fix it. Together.
That's so sick. I'm
That's
here for
awesome.
that all day long, dude. Holy crap. Okay. How do you feel after watching that?
Looks amazing. It looks beautiful. A little bit. So I'm a little bit worried about the like plot tidbits that we got. Because it kind of seems like it might be something that we've heard a little bit about before. It reminds me very much of the first season of Legend of Korra. And then there's I have the funniest feeling that the Airbender is not going to be on their side. Just a hunch. And then also and again, I'm definitely going to watch it. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but also a little bit of tonal whiplash from not having the original Toph voice actor play Toph.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I'm here for it. We have some really fantastic stuff hopefully in store for us. Yeah, man, this is so cool. I think this one they hit this one out of the park. This one's definitely has the same feel of the original Nickelodeon cartoon. And it definitely feels like they did it. I think the fans are going to be okay with that. So I don't think they're going to start, going crazy over it. Like they like literally, dude, they're like ready to like knock over trash cans and set them on fire in the middle of the streets over the live action. I don't think they're going to do that with this one.
Yeah. And to be fair, I genuinely don't think like if you're getting that angry about anything, you need to calm down.
Yeah. Well, the logline to this film states that Avatar Aang, the last world's last airbender, learns of an ancient power that could save his culture from extinction, which, with the help of his friends, he embarks on a global quest to find it before it falls into the wrong hands and threatens to upend the peace they sacrificed everything to achieve. Just like we saw in the trailer, they have united all the realms, which is fantastic, right? Because we've seen all the craziness that's happened before that. And Aang, but here's my question: like, would you have liked to see Korra in this one, or do you think that that this is still a little bit more before Korra's time?
I think that this is before Korra's time. I'm pretty sure Aang's dead by the time.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I was wondering. I was like, how are they going to do this? Like before, I was like, okay, they're going to tell just time in the time in the future, but not too far into the future, which is really cool.
Yeah, that would, yes.
Because I was like, okay, cool. When I first heard about it, like, I think I heard about it like last year or something like that when it was coming, or a few months back, and I was like, okay, cool. We're gonna get Korra. We're gonna get a team up. Like, how we're gonna handle? Like, maybe not, because obviously Korra he had to be dead, right, for her to. But but I was like, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna see anything like that, or what? How are they gonna incorporate some of this stuff? Very cool. So very interesting. I'm here all day for this one, man.
Yes, it will be very, very neat. Oh, wait, no, wait, that doesn't make sense. Never mind. I was gonna say
Okay.
maybe they built something into season 3 of Korra, but yeah, no, that doesn't make sense.
Because I don't know, man. There's all kinds of different things that they can do, right? At least maybe we'd see some of the some lead into it. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do this. I'm just here excited about this. I hope that we're gonna see a lot more of Avatar, like especially with Aang and the crew, right? Do you think do you think we're gonna see a new series come out after this? You think people are gonna get so excited that we could see something like that?
I've heard there's something in that. Actually, I'm pretty sure there's something like there hasn't been any trailers or anything, but they do have a new animated series in the works, from what I've heard.
In the works, okay. See, I haven't looked around or did some research on that myself, so that I guess I'm not that big of a fan if I don't know about that. No, so listen, I don't go searching for all that stuff, but dude, I'm here for it. If they come out with a new one, but here's the thing: what are they going to do with it? What are they? What's the plot? What's the driving force of this one?
From what I've heard, it's the world's not very well off after Korra leaves. And now there are two avatars because the person had twins.
Interesting.
So now they have to try and fix what's happened after what happened with Korra.
Okay, I'm looking it up here. It's called Avatar 7 Havens animated sequel series. It says a brand new animated sequel series set after The Legend of Korra is slated to premiere on Paramount in 2027. It follows two earthbending twins in a post-cataclysmic world, focusing on survival in a dangerous era. I'm cool with that, dude. I'm here for that one. So it's going to be set after The Legend of Korra, some time after Legend of Korra.
Yep.
Very cool. That's cool. I'm here for that. They're going to give us a whole new slew of characters, a whole new world to kind of look in on. Kind of going back to, a cataclysmic world again and bringing it back together. But do you think we're going to see some of the kind of same tropes?
I would have no idea on that one.
Unfortunately, probably yes. Because what's storytelling without reiterating all those fun tropes of old?
That's fair.
You know what? That brings us that's our last article. We probably have another 30 minutes left on the show, but this week we're a little light on stories and stuff, so we can probably end it here a little bit early. We've been going for an hour and a half. I think we're okay with that. There's nothing else to talk about, unless you have anything else you want to discuss.
Nope. I think I'm pretty good on this. Really enjoy all of this stuff. It's actually, this is about when we leave, or when we finish every time. So,
all right,
win-win.
awesome. I'm glad that I'm not behind on time then. And guess what? My audio didn't cut out this time.
Yay!
Yeah. Now that I said it, it's probably going to do it. Oh man. No, man, it's been fantastic talking to you, Trey. Thanks again, Jeremy, for allowing me to come out and hang out with Trey and talk about all this fun geeky stuff. All right, Trey, what was your favorite story that we talked about today?
Probably the Avatar one. A lot of it is really cool, but the Avatar one is the one that I've the most invested in for sure.
Yeah. I'm really excited about the podcast world and what's coming with all of that stuff. It's all this really cool innovation that's going on in that realm. That's excited me. But yeah, I think Avatar and the Legend of the White Dragon, those two trailers dropping was my excitement for the month. I'm really excited. I can't wait for Aang the Last Airbender to come out again, or Avatar Aang. Sorry guys, don't at me.
No, you're fine. You still didn't call him Aang. So
my son, I told him, I was like, you want to let's watch the Avatar movie. He's like, movie? What do you mean movie? Not that horrible one they call him Aang. Oh, dude, let's do
That's
it.
so funny.
Listen, man, when that first came out, everybody, all of the Avatar fans were excited about it because it was the first time that we're going to get any kind of live action. And on top of it, it was M. Night Shyamalan, who was like, we're like, okay, cool. This is one of his ventures into like doing something that is not like horror-esque. So, but I mean, if he was such a big fan, why'd he call him Aang? I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. And the funniest part is, and I don't blame him as much, but I always have to bully a little bit Jeremy. He called him Aang. That's what I was referring to. Yes.
Oh, man. That's
And
funny.
I burst out laughing.
He's like, wait, what? Why? My son likes to try to get me to say Aang, and I never do. I'm like, no, it's Aang, dude. Come on.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for those two to come out. Those two movies. I'm gonna watch it. We should do a watch party, dude, of Avatar, of the Aang Avatar, Avatar Aang.
I definitely would not be opposed to that. We could definitely set something up. I will see. It's like July. Man, there's so much going on.
Yeah, July 25th. It's coming out. Yeah, man.
Crazy.
It would be really fantastic to do something fun like that. Maybe on the Discord channel or something. So yeah, more if you guys and please let everybody know where they can find us on Discord.
Right. Yes. So if you guys want to join our Discord and do fun trivia questions, I think last week's, what did I do for this week? I think this week was something about Willy Wonka, because I always do something kind of related to the last week's news. So this was a Willy Wonka challenge. And you can see if you can get on the leaderboard for that sort of stuff. That's not actually a leaderboard. I just announced you got the question right every week. But and take part in fun events like the Anime Roundtable and the monthly gaming thing. You can go to ageofradio.com and click on the blue Discord button, or you can go to discord.com/ageofradio and you will get right in. I would love to see you there.
Yeah, come hang out with us. We do all kinds of fun stuff. You know, Trey is he's in charge of that thing, and he's been doing such a fantastic job that I'm jealous that my Discord server doesn't look as good as the Age of Radio's Discord server. Like you guys would be impressed and going and checking it out. So definitely go check it out. Trey, please let everybody know where they can find you on social media, or if you got anything else going on, please let them know.
Yeah, I don't really have anything going on at the moment, but if you guys want to check out on my Substacks, eventually I'm going to be proven right on a lot of my ideas, I think. So go to creatortrade.substack.com, and you can find me on just about every other platform there is, except for, I mean, I have an account, but I haven't been on Blue Sky in forever. But at Creator Trey.
Fantastic. And Age of Radio Mercury is brought to you by Merlin, which is your smartest way to track crypto. If you guys go to mercurycrypto.com, you can get your first 30 days free. So head on over there and check that out. Creator Trey, thank you for hanging out with me. My name is Joey Galvez. You can find me at Joey Galvez 1984 all over the place. Right now we have a Kickstarter that is in pre-launch. So if you guys go to kickstarter.com and type in archetypes, and that should be, it's Archetypes issue 3, and that's under the comic books, and you'll find it there and check it out. Please click that notify me on launch, because anytime that you do that, what that does is pushes us up into the algorithm, and it tells Kickstarter that we are worth a look. So definitely push us up into that algorithm. That gets us seen a lot more, and then more people will be able to enjoy this stuff. What Archetypes is, it's an anthology comic book magazine where we have short comics and short articles about comic books or geek culture. And this time around, I'm going to have a really cool, my first time doing a prose-ish kind of type of a short story about a post-hardcore vocalist who finds out that when he screams, he feeds on people's essence and their hedonistic ways. So definitely going to want to check that one out. We have all kinds of really cool stuff. Even a story, a comic book about a bird who may or may not want to enact his revenge by pooping on somebody. So definitely go on over there and check that one out. We're professionals, Trey. Don't laugh.
I've always been very impressed with your guys' art on a lot of your comic books, and I have a couple of your archetypes myself. Very cool art on a lot of those books, and all of your guys' other comic books are flipping stunning.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we have some really great hardworking teams out there doing the stuff on archetypes. So definitely go check it out. We have some really great articles too by my friend Adriano Adrianello, and we have Luis Godoy the second. He's going to be doing something on there too. So definitely check that out. I Need Your Skin is being shipped out completely and fully this month, and then we're going to be going into production for issue 2 and issue 3. I just sent Jeremy the schedule of our comic books and our Kickstarters, so definitely we have a lot more coming to you guys very soon in the next couple years. So definitely check it out. Please go to your local comic shop, or go head over to any of your favorite independent comic book creators or independent creator of anything, because they're the lifeblood of the scene. That's what I always say. So definitely check that out. Again, Trey, thank you for hanging out with me here on Age Radio Mercury. And thank you, Jeremy, for allowing me to do this again. And as I guess I can do what Jeremy says, right? He says, everybody say, be thankful, grateful, and kind, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
And that's a wrap.